Minho Kim wiped the sweat from his face as he stared at the broken navigation panel. Red warning lights flashed across the small cargo ship's control room. The Persistence had seen better days, but it had never failed him like this before. "Come on, old girl," he said to the ship. "Don't give up on me now." He was 3 days into what should have been a simple cargo run. Medical supplies from Earth to the mining colony on Kepler 442b. Easy money. The kind of job that let him keep his small freight business running. But now his hyperspace drive was making sounds it had never made before. The quantum core temperature was rising fast. Too fast. Minho's hands moved quickly over the controls, trying to bring the system back under control. He had learned to fix most things on his ship during his 10 years of running cargo. But this was different. This was bad. A loud crack came from somewhere deep in the ship. The lights went out for a moment, then came back dim and yellow. The hyperspace field around his ship began to shake and twist in ways that made his stomach turn. "Emergency drop in 5 seconds, the computer's voice announced. It sounded calm, but Minho knew what that meant. When a hyperspace drive failed this badly, the ship would drop back into normal space wherever it happened to be. That could mean empty space between stars. That could mean death. The shaking got worse. Minho strapped himself into his pilot's seat and held on. The ship dropped out of hyperspace with a violent jolt that threw him forward against his safety belt. When everything stopped moving, Minho looked at his screens. He was alive. His ship was in one piece, and there was a planet right in front of him. "Well, that's something," he said. The planet was beautiful, blue and green like Earth, with white clouds covering parts of the surface. It looked like the kind of world that people dreamed of finding, the kind of place where humans could build a new home. But something was wrong. His navigation system showed no record of any planet in this area. According to every star chart he had, this part of space was empty. Yet here was a world that looked perfect for human life. His engines were still working, but barely. The hyperspace drive was completely dead. Black smoke was coming from the engine room. If he didn't land soon, his ship would die in space, and he would die with it. Minho pointed his ship toward the planet and started his descent. The atmosphere looked normal. Oxygen, nitrogen, water vapor. Everything his ship's basic sensors could detect seemed safe for human life. As he got closer to the surface, he could see forests and rivers and what looked like empty grasslands. No signs of cities or technology. No radio signals. The planet seemed empty of intelligent life. He picked a flat area near a river and brought the Persistence down for a rough landing. The ship bounced twice and scraped along the ground before coming to a stop. Minho sat in his chair for a moment, breathing hard. He was alive. His ship was on solid ground. The air outside looked clean and safe. It could have been much worse. Minho unbuckled his safety belt and went to check the damage. The hyperspace drive was completely destroyed. Pieces of metal and crystal were scattered across the engine room floor. It would take weeks to fix, maybe months. And that was if he could find the right parts. He checked his emergency supplies, food for 2 weeks, water for 10 days, though the river outside could solve that problem. His emergency beacon was working, but it would take time for anyone to receive the signal and come looking for him. Minho put on his environment suit and opened the ship's door. The air outside was warm and sweet. His suit's sensors showed that it was safe to breathe. After a few minutes, he took off his helmet. The air felt good in his lungs, clean and fresh, better than the recycled air on his ship. The gravity was a little lighter than Earth normal, making him feel stronger and more energetic. He walked around his ship to check for damage. The hull had some scrapes, but nothing serious. The landing gear had bent a little, but was still solid. Most importantly, his ship could still take off once he fixed the drive. The area around his landing site was peaceful. Tall grass moved gently in the warm wind. Strange birds flew overhead, making musical sounds. The river nearby was clear and clean. Everything seemed perfect, too perfect. In 10 years of hauling cargo across human space, Minho had visited dozens of worlds. Some were beautiful, some were dangerous, but all of them had something wrong with them. Bad weather, dangerous animals, poisonous plants, or worse. Paradise worlds only existed in stories. As the day passed, Minho began setting up a temporary camp outside his ship. He would need to stay outside while he worked on the engine. The smoke and fumes would be too dangerous in the ship's closed air system. That evening, as he ate his dinner and watched the sun set, Minho tried to contact the nearest human outpost. His long-range radio was working, but he couldn't reach anyone. He was too far from human space. He was about to give up when his radio crackled to life. Unknown ship. This is Jiwon Park at Frontier Station 7. I received your emergency signal. What is your situation? Minho grabbed his microphone. Jiwon, this is Captain Minho Kim of the cargo ship Persistence. My hyperspace drive failed and I made an emergency landing on an uncharted world. I'm safe for now, but I need help. There was a long pause before Jiwon answered. Her voice sounded worried. Minho, I need you to send me your exact location coordinates right now. Sure, transmitting now. Minho sent his position data. Another long pause. When Jiwon spoke again, she sounded scared. Minho, listen to me very carefully. Whatever you do, don't tell anyone else where you are. Don't use your emergency beacon. Don't send any more signals. What? Why not? I need rescue. Every major alien government in the galaxy is mobilizing their fleets right now. They're coming to sterilize that entire system. You're on a planet that has been absolutely forbidden for over 2,000 years. Minho felt cold despite the warm evening air. What are you talking about? This place seems safe. Beautiful even. Safe? Jiwon's voice was sharp. Minho, according to every record in the galactic database, nothing that lands on that world ever leaves alive. In 2,000 years, every ship that has ever set foot there has vanished without a trace. But I'm fine. I've been here for hours. The air is clean. The water is safe. That's impossible. The planet you're on is called Kalen 7. It's been marked as a death world since before humans joined the galactic community. The toxins in the air alone should have killed you in minutes. Minho looked around at the peaceful evening landscape. Birds were still singing in the trees. A gentle breeze was carrying the smell of flowers. Nothing here seemed dangerous. Jiwon, I think there might be some mistake. No mistake. I'm looking at the records right now. 47 different expeditions from 12 different species. All of them died within hours of landing. Some tried to send detailed reports of what was killing them, but the signals always cut off suddenly. Then why am I still alive? I don't know. But Minho, you need to understand. The moment your emergency signal reached galactic sensors, every alien government received an automatic alert. They know someone is on Kalen 7. They know it's a human ship, and they're coming to make sure nothing leaves that planet alive. Minho sat down heavily on a rock. How long do I have? The nearest alien patrol ship is 2 days away. The main fleets will take longer, but not much longer. Maybe a week. Can you send human ships to help me? I'm trying. I've already contacted Admiral Taewon at Human Fleet Command. But Minho, our ships are scattered across human space. It will take time to gather a rescue fleet. Time I might not have. Time you definitely don't have. The aliens aren't coming to arrest you or ask questions. They're coming to destroy everything in that system. They're terrified of that planet. Minho stood up and looked at his broken ship. 1 week to fix a hyperspace drive that would normally take months to repair. Against alien fleets that wanted him dead for reasons he didn't understand. Jiwon, what exactly happened to the other expeditions? The ones that died? The reports are incomplete, but what we have is disturbing. Respiratory failure, organ shutdown, cellular breakdown, as if the planet itself was rejecting them. But I feel fine. Better than fine, actually. That's what worries me most of all. 3 days had passed since Jiwon's warning, and Minho was still alive. More than alive. He felt stronger than he had in years. His cuts and bruises from the crash landing had healed faster than normal. He needed less sleep and felt more alert during the day. Something was changing in him, but he didn't have time to worry about it. He was too busy trying to fix his ship before the alien fleets arrived. The hyperspace drive was in worse shape than he first thought. The quantum core had cracked completely, and several key components were melted beyond repair. Under normal circumstances, he would need a shipyard and specialized equipment to fix this kind of damage. But Minho had learned to make impossible repairs during his years as an independent cargo hauler. He began stripping parts from other systems, modifying components that were never meant to work together, and rewiring connections that the original designers would have called crazy. On the fourth day, his radio came alive with urgent messages. "Minho, this is Admiral Taewon Choi of the Human Defense Fleet. I'm leading a rescue mission to your location. What is your status?" "Admiral, I'm still alive and working on repairs. How close are the alien fleets?" "Too close. We've detected at least 12 different alien battle groups heading toward your system. The largest fleet belongs to the hegemony. Over 200 ships." Minho stopped working and sat down. 200 ships was more firepower than most human colonies had for defense. "Sir, why are they so afraid of this planet?" "Jiwan said other expeditions died here, but I've been here for days without any problems." Admiral Taewon's voice was grim. "We've been researching the historical records since we learned of your situation. Kalen 7 isn't just dangerous, it's legendary. According to alien mythology, it was once the home of an ancient race called the Builders." "The Builders?" "The species that created the hyperspace network all our civilizations use today. They vanished over 50,000 years ago, but they left behind technology that no one has been able to understand or duplicate." Minho looked around at the peaceful landscape. "This doesn't look like the home of an advanced civilization. I haven't seen any ruins or technology. That's part of the mystery. Every expedition that came here reported the same thing, a beautiful, empty world that seemed perfect for colonization. But within hours, the crews would begin dying from exposure to unknown toxins. But I'm not dying." "No, you're not. And that has the alien governments terrified." Before Minho could ask why, another voice came over the radio, a woman with a crisp, official tone. "Captain Kim, this is Ambassador Yoonji Lee from the Human Diplomatic Corps. I'm with Admiral Taewon's fleet. We need to discuss your situation." "Ambassador, I'm just a cargo hauler. I landed here by accident. An accident that might change the balance of power in the galaxy. Captain, according to our intelligence sources, the alien governments believe that if a human can survive on Kalen 7, it means we might be able to access builder technology." "That's ridiculous. I haven't found any technology here." "Have you explored beyond your immediate landing area?" Minho realized he hadn't. He had been so focused on repairing his ship that he had barely traveled more than a kilometer from his landing site. "Not really. I've been too busy with repairs." "Captain, we need you to investigate. If there is builder technology on that planet, humanity needs to find it before the alien fleets arrive and destroy everything. Ambassador, with respect, I'm not an explorer or a scientist. I'm just trying to fix my ship and get home alive." Admiral Taewon's voice cut in. "Son, you might not have a choice. Our best estimates put the alien fleets at your location in 3 days. Even if we can get a rescue fleet there in time, we'll be heavily outnumbered." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that builder technology might be the only thing that can save you, and possibly all of humanity." That evening, Minho made a difficult decision. He would explore the planet and look for signs of the builders. But first he needed to set up his ship's automated repair systems so the work could continue while he was away. As he worked in the engine room, he noticed something strange. Components that should have taken hours to repair were fixing themselves in minutes. Metal pieces that were cracked were somehow becoming solid again. Wiring that was burnt was returning to its original condition. At first, he thought he was imagining things, but as he watched carefully, he could see the changes happening. His ship was healing itself. The next morning, Minho packed supplies and set out to explore the area around his landing site. He chose a direction that led toward some low hills in the distance, thinking that high ground might give him a better view of the surrounding area. The walk was pleasant. The alien birds continued their musical songs, and small animals watched him curiously from the tall grass. Everything seemed peaceful and welcoming. After 2 hours of walking, Minho reached the top of the first hill. What he saw in the valley beyond made him stop and stare. Ruins. Massive stone structures covered in strange metal patterns that seemed to shift and move when he looked at them directly. The buildings were clearly ancient, but they didn't look damaged or worn down. They looked like they were waiting. Minho activated his radio. "Admiral Ambassador, are you there?" "We're here, Captain." "What have you found?" "I'm looking at what I think are builder ruins. They're unlike anything I've ever seen." "Describe them." "Huge buildings made of some kind of stone but covered in metal patterns that seem to move. And Admiral, they look like they're still active. I can see lights inside some of the structures." There was excited talking in the background before Ambassador Yunji spoke again. "Captain, this is incredible. No expedition has ever reported finding intact builder structures. You need to investigate further." "Ma'am, I don't know if that's a good idea. What if these ruins are what killed the other expeditions?" "Captain," Admiral Taewon's voice was firm, "our long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures from your location. Whatever those structures are, they're powered up and active. That technology could be humanity's salvation." Minho started down the hill toward the ruins. As he got closer, he could see that the metal patterns on the buildings were incredibly complex. They looked almost like circuit boards, but with designs that hurt his eyes to follow. The closest building had an opening that was clearly meant to be an entrance. It was shaped like a doorway, but there was no actual door. Just an opening that seemed to lead into soft blue light. "I'm at the entrance to one of the buildings," Minho reported. "Any signs of danger?" "No, but I can feel something. Like electricity in the air, but not unpleasant. More like anticipation." "Captain, you need to go inside. Time is running out." Minho took a deep breath and stepped through the entrance. The inside of the building was nothing like what he expected. The walls were covered in the same moving metal patterns, but now they were glowing with soft light that pulsed like a heartbeat. The air felt thick and warm, like being inside a living thing. As he walked deeper into the structure, the patterns on the walls began to change. They moved faster, and the colors shifted from blue to green to gold. It was almost like the building was reacting to his presence. At the center of the first room, Minho found something that made his heart race. A pedestal made of the same strange stone, and floating above it was a crystal that looked like it contained a galaxy of tiny stars. When he got close to the crystal, it began to glow brighter. The patterns on the walls started moving so fast they became a blur of light and color, and then suddenly, Minho understood. The crystal wasn't just decoration or technology. It was a test. The builders had left it here to see if anyone worthy would ever find it. Every alien species that had come to this planet had failed the test and died, but humans were different. Minho reached out and touched the crystal. The world exploded into light and knowledge and understanding. For just a moment, he could see the entire galaxy spread out before him like a map. He could see the builder network that connected every habitable world, the ancient pathways that made faster-than-light travel possible. And he could see the alien fleets, much closer now, coming to destroy everything he had found. When the vision ended, Minho was lying on the floor of the builder structure. The crystal was dark, and the patterns on the walls had stopped moving. But something fundamental had changed. He could feel the planet now. Not just see it or walk on it, but actually feel it like it was part of him. And the planet was trying to tell him something important. He was not alone on Kalen 7. The planet itself was alive, and it had been waiting for someone like him for thousands of years. Minho woke up on the floor of the builder structure with his head pounding and his body tingling with strange energy. The crystal above the pedestal was glowing softly again, but now he could understand what it was showing him. Images flowed through his mind, not his own memories, but the memories of the planet itself. He saw the builders as they once were, tall beings of light and energy who had shaped worlds and created the pathways between stars. He saw them leave this world behind, but not abandon it. They had turned Kalen 7 into something special, a test. Not a test to see who was strongest or smartest, but a test to see which species could evolve. The planet's atmosphere contained elements that were deadly to most forms of life, but some species might be able to adapt. The builders had waited thousands of years to see if anyone would pass their test. Humans were the first. Minho stood up slowly, feeling different than he had ever felt before. His vision was sharper. He could see individual leaves on trees that were kilometers away. His hearing had improved too. He could hear small animals moving in the grass outside the ruins. Most importantly, he could sense the network of builder technology hidden beneath the planet's surface. His radio crackled with urgent voices. "Minho! Minho, respond immediately!" It was Admiral Taiwan, and he sounded desperate. "I'm here, Admiral. I'm in the builder ruins. Thank God. We thought we lost you. Your radio went dead for 6 hours." 6 hours? It had only felt like minutes to Minho. "Admiral, I found something incredible. The builders left technology here, but it's not just machines. It's integrated into the planet itself. And I think it's been changing me." "What do you mean, changing you?" Before Minho could answer, Ambassador Yunji's voice cut in. "Captain, we have a serious problem. The alien fleets have arrived. They're taking positions around the planet right now." Minho walked to the entrance of the builder structure and looked up at the sky. He could see them now, hundreds of ships in orbit, their running lights making new constellations against the stars. How many ships? Over 800 from 12 different species. "Captain, they're not here to negotiate. They're here to make sure nothing leaves that planet alive." "What about the human rescue fleet?" Admiral Taiwan's voice was grim. "We're here, but we're badly outnumbered. 42 human ships against their 800. If it comes to a fight, we won't last long." Minho felt a strange calm settle over him. The planet was showing him things, images of defensive systems that had been sleeping for thousands of years, waiting for someone who could awaken them. "Admiral, I need you to listen carefully. The planet has defenses, builder technology that's been dormant since they left. I think I can activate it." "Captain, even if that's true, we don't know what those defenses might do. They could destroy everyone, including us." "Sir, the builders weren't destroyers, they were creators. Their technology is designed to protect and preserve, not to kill." Ambassador Yunji spoke up. "Captain, we're receiving communications from the alien fleet commanders. They want to speak with you directly. Patch them through." The radio filled, with a mixture of different alien languages. Then a translation came through in clear English. "Human vessel on the surface of the forbidden world. You will prepare for immediate destruction. Your contamination of the sacred testing ground cannot be allowed to spread." Minho keyed his microphone. "This is Captain Minho Kim of the human cargo ship Persistence. I'm not contaminated, and I'm not leaving. You do not understand, human. The world you stand on is a place of testing left by the ancients. No species has ever survived contact with its environment. Your continued existence is an impossibility that threatens the natural order." "What if it's not impossible? What if humans were meant to pass this test?" There was a long silence before the alien voice responded, and now it sounded afraid. "If that is true, then your species represents a threat to every other form of life in the galaxy. The ancients' legacy cannot be claimed by primitives who have barely learned to travel between stars. We're not primitives, and we're not a threat to anyone. The decision has been made. Prepare for orbital bombardment." The radio went dead. Admiral Taiwan's voice came through immediately. "All human ships prepare for combat. We're not letting them murder our people." "Wait," Minho shouted into his radio. "Admiral, give me a chance to activate the planet's defenses. If the builder's technology is still working, it might be able to protect all of us." "Captain, we don't have time for experiments." "Sir, you don't have enough firepower to stop 800 alien ships. This is our only chance." There was a pause. Then Admiral Taiwan sighed. "You have 10 minutes, Captain. After that, we fight." Minho ran deeper into the builder structure, following instincts he didn't fully understand. The patterns on the walls were moving again, faster now, as if the building itself was excited. He could sense other structures throughout the ruins awakening, responding to his presence. At the heart of the building, he found what he was looking for. A chamber filled with crystals like the first one he had touched, but larger and more complex. They floated in a circle around a central platform, each one pulsing with different colors of light. When Minho stepped onto the platform, the crystals began to sing. Not a sound he could hear, but a vibration he could feel in his bones. The walls of the chamber became transparent, and he could see through them to the surface of the planet. All around him, other builder structures were rising from the ground, where they had been hidden for thousands of years. Towers of strange metal and crystal connected by bridges of pure energy. The entire planet was transforming itself into something magnificent. But more importantly, Minho could see the defensive grid coming online. Thousands of energy projectors hidden in the planet's crust, all connected to the central control chamber where he stood. Above them, the alien bombardment began. Streams of energy and projectiles rained down from the orbiting fleets, enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. But when the attacks reached Kalin 7's atmosphere, they simply disappeared. The planet's defensive shields absorbed everything the aliens could throw at it. Minho felt the planet's satisfaction through their connection. The builders had designed their defenses to be perfect. No weapon created by any known species could penetrate them. But the shields weren't just defensive. As Minho watched, energy began to build in the projectors around the planet. Not attack energy, but something else. Communication energy. The planet was preparing to broadcast a message to every ship in orbit and to every world in the galaxy. Admiral Taywin, are you receiving this? We're here, Captain. What's happening down there? The alien bombardment just stopped working. The planet's defenses are active. But Admiral, I think it's going to do more than just protect us. I think it's going to tell the entire galaxy what really happened here. What do you mean? Minho could feel the planet's memories flowing through him again, but now they were being broadcast outward. Every ship in orbit, every world with communication equipment was about to receive the true history of the builders and their test. The broadcast began. Images flowed through space, carried by builder technology that was more advanced than anything the current galactic civilizations possessed. Every intelligent being in the galaxy suddenly saw the truth about Kalin 7. It wasn't a forbidden death world. It was a graduation test. The builders had designed it to identify which species were ready to inherit their legacy. Every species that had failed the test had died, not because the planet was evil, but because they couldn't evolve quickly enough to survive the transformation. Humans were different. Something in their genetic structure, their adaptability, their refusal to give up in impossible situations, had allowed them to not just survive the test, but to thrive in it. The broadcast continued, showing the watching galaxy what the builders had really been. Not conquerors or destroyers, but teachers and guides. They had created the hyperspace network, the communication systems, and countless other technologies to help younger species grow and develop. And now they had chosen their successors. When the broadcast ended, the galaxy was silent. 800 alien warships hung in space around Kalin 7, their weapons powered down, their crews trying to understand what they had just witnessed. Ambassador Yunji's voice broke the silence. Captain, we're receiving communications from every ship in the alien fleet. They want to negotiate. What do they want to negotiate? Surrender terms. They're offering to submit to human authority. Minho felt sick. That's not what this is about. Tell them we don't want to rule anyone. Then what do we want? Minho looked around at the builder structures that had risen from the planet's surface. He could feel the network of technology spreading beneath his feet, connecting to similar installations on hundreds of worlds throughout the galaxy. The builders hadn't just left behind a test. They had left behind a gift. The knowledge and tools to make the galaxy a better place for everyone. Tell them we want to share, Minho said. The builders didn't create all this technology to make one species dominant over others. They created it to help everyone grow. Captain, you realize what you're saying? You're talking about giving away the greatest technological advantage in galactic history. Admiral, what good is an advantage if it just makes everyone else your enemy? In the week following the broadcast, Kalin 7 became the most important place in the galaxy. Ships from dozens of species arrived daily, not as invaders, but as curious visitors trying to understand what had happened. Minho had not left the builder control chamber. He found that he didn't need to. The planet provided everything he needed: food that grew from the crystal walls, water that flowed from hidden springs, and air that was perfectly suited to human lungs. More importantly, he needed to stay connected to the planetary network to manage the thousands of questions and requests that were flooding in from across the galaxy. His body continued to change. He was taller now, stronger, and his mind worked faster than ever before. But the most remarkable change was his ability to understand and communicate with builder technology. The ancient machines responded to his thoughts as if they had been waiting for him specifically. Admiral Taewon had established a temporary command post near the ruins, and human diplomats were working around the clock to manage the flood of alien visitors. But not everyone was happy with humanity's new role. "Minho," came a familiar voice over his communication system. It was Hyok Nam, his old friend from his military days. Hyok had arrived with the human rescue fleet and was now serving as Admiral Taewon's security chief. "Hyok, good to hear from you. How are things up there?" "Complicated. We've got representatives from 47 different species on the planet now, all wanting to meet the human who passed the builder's test. But Minho, not all of them are friendly." "What do you mean?" "Some of the more aggressive species are treating this like a conquest. They think humans are planning to use builder technology to dominate the galaxy. Others are so scared of us now that they want to form defensive alliances against humanity." Minho felt a wave of sadness from the planet itself. The builders had hoped their gift would bring species together, not drive them apart. "What about our own people? How are humans reacting?" Hyok was quiet for a moment. "That's the real problem, Minho. About half of humanity thinks we should use this advantage to secure our position in the galaxy. The other half thinks we should give away everything to avoid making enemies. And what do you think? I think you're the one who has to make this decision. You're the only human who can fully interface with builder technology. Whatever you decide will affect the entire galaxy." That afternoon, Minho received a visit from Ambassador Yoonji and a group of human government officials. They had traveled from Earth specifically to meet with him. "Captain Kim," Ambassador Yoonji said as they entered the control chamber, "we need to discuss humanity's future." "I'm listening." "The Earth government has been in emergency session since the broadcast. Everyone agrees that this is the most important moment in human history, but there's no agreement on what we should do next." One of the officials, a stern woman named Director Suji Han, stepped forward. "Captain, we've analyzed the builder technology you've uncovered. If we keep it for ourselves, humanity could become the dominant force in the galaxy within 50 years. We could ensure that humans never again face extinction or subjugation. And if we share it, then we lose our advantage forever. Other species might use builder technology against us. We could end up worse off than we were before." Minho felt the planet's attention focus on this conversation. The builders were listening through their ancient systems, waiting to see what choice humanity would make. "Director Han, what do you think the builders wanted? Why did they create this test?" "We don't know. They're gone. All we know is that they left behind the most powerful technology in the galaxy, and humans are the only ones who can use it." "But that's not true," Minho said. "I've been studying their records. The builders didn't disappear. They evolved. They became something beyond physical existence, but they're still watching. And they didn't make this technology just for humans." Ambassador Yoonji leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "The test wasn't designed to find one dominant species. It was designed to find a species that could be trusted with the responsibility of helping others grow. The builders were teachers, not conquerors." Director Han shook her head. "Captain, with respect, you've been isolated on this planet for over a week. You might not be thinking clearly. We have to consider what's best for humanity first." "I am thinking about humanity. Do you really think we'd be happy as galactic overlords? Humans have always been at their best when we're working together with others, not ruling over them." Before the director could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the ruins. Minho could feel through the planetary network that something was wrong. "What's happening?" Ambassador Yoonji asked. Minho closed his eyes and expanded his awareness through the builder systems. What he found made his heart sink. 3 human ships, just left orbit without permission. They're heading toward the Centauri system. Why is that a problem? Because there's a builder installation on Centauri 4. Those ships are planning to claim it before anyone else can get there. Admiral Taewon's voice came through the communication system. Minho, we've been monitoring their transmissions. It's a group of human military officers who think we should secure as many builder sites as possible while we have the advantage. Can you stop them? Not without starting a fight. And if human ships start shooting at each other, it will prove to every alien government that we can't be trusted with builder technology. Minho felt the planet's distress growing stronger. The builders had scattered their installations across the galaxy specifically to prevent any one species from hoarding their gifts. If humans began claiming sites by force, it would violate everything the builders had stood for. Director Han, you need to contact those ships immediately. Tell them to return. Captain, those officers are acting on their own initiative, but they're not necessarily wrong. If we don't secure those sites, other species will. And then what? We have an arms race with builder technology? Wars fought with weapons that could destroy entire star systems? Through his connection to the planetary network, Minho could sense builder installations throughout the galaxy beginning to respond, not to human commands, but to the growing conflict around Kalen 7. The ancient systems were designed to shut down if they sensed they were being used for conquest rather than cooperation. Everyone needs to understand something, Minho said. The builder technology isn't just tools and weapons, it's alive in a way. It responds to the intentions of the users. If we try to use it for domination or conquest, it will stop working. How can you be sure? Because I can feel it happening right now. The installations throughout the galaxy are going into protective mode. If the conflict continues, they'll shut down completely. Admiral Taewon's voice was urgent. Minho, we're receiving reports from alien ships throughout the galaxy. Builder installations on 12 different worlds just went dark. No power, no response to any attempts at communication. Director Han looked pale. Can you reactivate them? Not if we keep acting like conquerors instead of partners. Ambassador Yunji stepped closer to Minho. What do you need us to do? Call back those ships. Send a message to every human government that we're not claiming exclusive rights to builder technology. And most importantly, invite every species in the galaxy to work together to understand what the builders left behind. That's political suicide, Director Han said. The Earth government will never agree to give away our advantage. Then they need to understand that we don't have an advantage to give away. We have a responsibility. Minho opened his mind fully to the builder network, letting his consciousness expand across the galaxy. For a moment he could see every builder installation, every sleeping system, every piece of ancient technology that had been waiting for this moment. And he could see the builders themselves, not as physical beings, but as patterns of consciousness woven into their technology. They had been waiting thousands of years for a species that would choose cooperation over domination. They were still waiting. Ambassador, Minho said, I want you to send a message to every government, human and alien. Tell them that in 3 days I'm going to activate every builder installation in the galaxy simultaneously. But I'm not going to give them to humans. I'm going to open them to everyone. You can't make that decision for all of humanity. I'm not making it for humanity. I'm making it for the galaxy. The builders chose humans not to rule, but to serve as caretakers of their legacy. It's time we started acting like it. Through his connection to the planet, Minho could feel the builders' approval. This was what they had hoped for, not a single species claiming dominance, but all species working together to build something better than any of them could achieve alone. But he could also feel the fear and anger from governments throughout the galaxy. Not everyone was ready for cooperation. Some would fight to maintain the old ways of competition and conflict. The next 3 days would determine whether the galaxy moved forward together or tore itself apart over the greatest gift in its history. The 3 days that followed Minho's announcement were the most tense in galactic history. Ships from dozens of species remained in orbit around Kalen 7, their crews watching and waiting to see if the human would really activate every builder installation in the galaxy. Not everyone believed it was possible. The builder network had been dormant for 50,000 years. Even if Minho could access the technology on Kalen 7, many experts doubted that he could control systems spread across thousands of light years. But Minho wasn't worried about the technical challenges. His connection to the planetary network had shown him that distance meant nothing to builder technology. Their installations were linked by something deeper than normal space, a network that existed outside the normal flow of time and space. The real challenge was political. Governments throughout the galaxy were demanding meetings, threatening war, or begging for special consideration. Everyone wanted to be first in line when the builder technology activated. On the second day, Admiral Taiwan brought disturbing news. Minho, we've got a problem. The Earth government is threatening to declare you mentally incompetent if you go through with this plan. Can they do that? Legally, you're still a citizen of Earth, and you're still technically under military jurisdiction from your service years. They could claim that exposure to alien technology has affected your judgment. Minho felt a flash of anger, both his own and from the planet itself. The builders had not waited thousands of years just to have their gift destroyed by political maneuvering. Admiral, do they really think they can control builder technology through legal documents? Some of them do. Others are planning more direct action. We've detected 3 more human ships approaching the system, but these aren't exploration vessels. They're military ships with orders to take you into custody. For my own protection, I'm sure. That's what they're claiming. Minho closed his eyes and felt the builder network responding to the approaching threat. The ancient systems had survived the rise and fall of hundreds of civilizations. They would not be stopped by political ambition. Tell the Earth government that if they try to interfere, the builder network will shut down permanently. Not just for humans, for everyone. Can you really do that? I won't have to. The network will do it automatically if it senses that the gift is being perverted. On the third day, as the deadline approached, Kalen 7 was surrounded by over 1,000 ships from 40 different species. Some were there as observers. Others were waiting to claim whatever advantage they could from the activation. A few were preparing to attack if they didn't like what happened. Minho stood in the center of the builder control chamber, feeling the weight of galactic history pressing down on him. Through his connection to the network, he could sense every installation, every sleeping machine, every fragment of builder technology scattered throughout the galaxy, and he could sense the builders themselves watching and waiting. This is it, he said into his communication system. To everyone listening, human and alien alike, you're about to witness something that hasn't happened for 50,000 years. The builder network is coming online. Minho, came Admiral Taiwan's voice. Are you sure about this? Once you activate the network, there's no going back. There was no going back the moment I landed on this planet, Admiral. The builders chose humanity for this role. It's time we fulfilled our responsibility. Minho placed his hands on the central control crystal and opened his mind completely to the builder network. Power flowed through him, not just from Kalen 7, but from every installation in the galaxy. For a moment, he was connected to everything the builders had ever created. The activation began. On worlds throughout the galaxy, builder installations that had been dark for millennia suddenly blazed with light. Ancient machines hummed to life. Communication arrays that had been silent began broadcasting welcoming signals. But this wasn't a military activation or a conquest. The builder installations didn't grant weapons or defenses. Instead, they offered knowledge. Medical technology that could cure diseases that had plagued species for centuries. Environmental restoration systems that could heal damaged worlds. Communication networks that would allow instant contact between any 2 points in the galaxy. And they offered it to everyone. Minho felt the wonder and amazement rippling through the galactic community as species discovered what the builder installations could do. A plague that was killing millions on the hegemony homeworld was cured within hours. A mining world that had been strip-mined to barren rock began to bloom with new life. Species that had been enemies for centuries found themselves working together on projects that benefited everyone. But not everyone was pleased with the new reality. Captain Kim, came an angry transmission from one of the human military ships. You've just given away humanity's greatest advantage. How do you justify betraying your own species? I haven't betrayed humanity, Minho replied. I've given humanity the greatest gift possible, the chance to be remembered as the species that lifted everyone up instead of conquering everyone else. Pretty words won't protect human colonies when alien species start using builder technology against us. That's not how builder technology works. It responds to the user's intentions. If someone tries to use it for conquest or destruction, it shuts down. As if to prove his point, reports began coming in from throughout the galaxy. Several species had tried to weaponize builder installations, only to have the systems go dormant the moment aggressive intent was detected. The builder network was not just a collection of machines. It was a teaching system designed to guide species toward cooperation and growth. Those who embraced its lessons found their civilizations flourishing. Those who rejected them found themselves locked out of the network entirely. Over the following weeks, Minho watched as the galaxy began to change. Trade between species increased as builder communication systems made negotiations easier. Scientific discoveries that had taken centuries were now shared instantly between worlds. Environmental disasters that would have killed millions were prevented or reversed using builder restoration technology. But the most important change was in how species related to each other. When everyone had access to the same advanced technology, there was less reason for conflict and more incentive for cooperation. Minho, Ambassador Yunji said during one of their regular conversations, "I've been analyzing the reports from throughout the galaxy. Violent conflicts between species have decreased by 70% since the activation. The builders designed their technology to encourage peace," Minho replied. "When everyone has what they need, there's less reason to fight over resources." But what about humanity? Some people still think we should have kept the technology for ourselves. Minho looked out at the builder city that had risen from the surface of Kalen 7. Representatives from dozens of species now lived and worked there, sharing knowledge and building friendships that would have been impossible before. "Ambassador, look around. This is what humanity was meant to do. Not rule the galaxy, but help it grow. And what about you? You've changed so much since you first landed here. Are you still human?" Minho considered the question. His body had adapted to work perfectly with builder technology. His mind could process information at speeds that would have been impossible for a normal human. He could live for centuries, maybe millennia, guiding the network and helping species learn to use their gifts wisely. "I'm more human than I've ever been," he said finally. "I'm doing what humans do best, helping others." Years passed, and the galaxy settled into a new age of cooperation. The builder installations continued to offer their gifts to any species willing to use them responsibly. Conflicts still occurred, but they were resolved through dialogue and compromise rather than war. Minho remained on Kalen 7, serving as the primary interface between the galactic community and the builder network. He was no longer just a human, but he had never stopped being human. He carried humanity's greatest strengths, curiosity, compassion, and the drive to help others succeed, into his role as guardian of the galaxy's most precious gift. Sometimes, late at night in the builder city, he would stand on one of the crystal towers and look up at the stars. Ships from hundreds of worlds traveled the ancient hyperspace routes, carrying people and cargo and ideas between civilizations that were no longer strangers to each other. Children from dozens of species played together in the gardens that surrounded the builder structures. Their parents worked side by side on projects that would benefit worlds they had never seen. Artists and scientists and dreamers shared their work across the communication networks, creating a galactic culture that was richer than anything any single species could have achieved alone. This was what the builders had dreamed of when they created their test. Not one species dominating all others, but all species working together to build something greater than the sum of their parts. And at the center of it all was a human cargo hauler who had made an emergency landing on the wrong planet and discovered that sometimes getting lost was the only way to find where you truly belonged. The galaxy was finally home.